Well, no matter if it's on the court, on the field, or in an arena, professional female athletes in general are paid less than men. Tennis superstar Serena Williams is the only woman on Forbes' list of the 40 highest paid athletes of the past decade. Her $215 million is respectable, but well behind Roger Federer, who is fifth on the list with $640 million. Members of the world champion U.S. women's soccer team are suing the Soccer Federation, claiming that paying them less than men for substantially equal work amounts to discrimination. The trial is set for May. Well, things are a little calmer out on the water. The World Surf League started awarding equal prize money to male and female surfers last year, among the first in the world to offer prize money parity. Well, let's take a closer look now at that WNBA agreement and what it means for basketball players and potentially other female athletes. I'm joined by Kate Delaney, sports commentator and author of Deal Your Own Destiny. Welcome to the show.
Rachelle, thanks for having me.
So looking at the proposals in this agreement, if this is fully approved, just how much of a game changer is this for women in U.S. basketball?
Oh, it's an incredible game changer. Are you kidding? They were making less than the median income, in the United States, so it was not a livable wage. You'd have rookies that made about $41,000. Now they could make $130,000. Maximum anywhere between $215,000 to $300,000. And a lot of the superstars would get about $500,000. So it is absolutely an incredible change.
And give us an idea of the reaction so far. Obviously, players must be elated, but there are also some criticisms as well.
Yeah, most of the players are excited about this because this will enable them, perhaps since the league runs from May to September, to not have to play overseas, so it won't be so much wear and tear on them. What the criticisms are is they want a 50-50 split with the league. Right now they get about 20-30. If they hit certain maximums for viewership, that kind of thing, Rachelle, then they could get to that 50-50 split, which the NBA players have with the league, and that's what they really want.
So then as we look at the full compensation package, how does it stack up to what's currently offered by the NBA as well as some of these international leagues?
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly different. So even though now it's been a massive increase for these players, if you look at what like an NBA player, about $10 million to what I said is possible $500,000 for the women. And then if you look at the international leagues, and that's why so many of the women superstars were playing in China, in Russia, in Israel, and other places, because they could make up to $600,000. So that's significant. So still, even with the increase, it doesn't stack up against some of the other leagues.
So you mentioned, obviously, this increase that they got from playing overseas. So then, with the U.S. becoming a more attractive option for women players, how do you see that impacting some of these foreign basketball leagues and their ability to retain talent?
Well, I think it could impact them greatly because they want some of the American superstars and vice versa, that crossover that you have. So, for example, Breanna Stewart, who was a superstar player for Seattle when they won the championship 2 years ago, and then she blew out her Achilles when she was playing for a club in Russia, but she was a huge, huge draw. And, of course, the fans go crazy overseas for the women and support them actually more than the U.S. does. So it would definitely hurt some of these other clubs. China especially would be hurt because they really pony up a lot of money and get some of the better players.
And as you mentioned, this really overwhelming support that they're getting from overseas that they're not seeming to get back in the U.S. What's being done to really boost efforts and investment for the growing WNBA fan base?
Well, one of the good things is, and you mentioned it, it hasn't been fully approved yet, but the broad strokes say that there'll be at least $1.6 million allotted for marketing. And I think what they need to do is market these players better because they don't market them. Remember, they only play 34 games, and I mentioned it, their season goes from May to September, so you have to get people more excited and more involved. The average attendance is just over 7,000, and that's not going to cut it.
And so let's also look at a championship U.S. national women's soccer team. We see that it's facing its own struggles when it comes to pay parity, and they're actually headed to court again. How do their struggles compare to what we're seeing with the WNBA?
I think it's a little bit different because on the international level, the women are that much more known, especially when you think about what they were able to accomplish with the World Cup and with the Olympics. And the problem is, when you look at, and just looking at the U.S., so the U.S. women versus the U.S. men, the men still make significantly more, but yet the women have been winning and the men have not. So is that really fair? And what is argued is, well, what about TV ratings, that kind of thing? But the women were getting the television ratings, whereas with the WNBA, they're getting okay ratings, but not the kind of ratings that the women get. But again, they're on a grand scale in some very big events like the Olympics and the World Cup.
Right, well, thank you so much. So good to have you there. Kate Delaney, sports commentator and author of Deal Your Own Destiny.